Imagine walking home late at night, the streets silent, the only sound your footsteps echoing. You feel safe, until you notice something unsettling, a shadow, a presence, someone following you. No one is supposed to be there, yet deep down, you are not alone. Welcome to Hidden Truth Diaries, where we explore real-life events that will chill you to the bone. Today we bring you 3 terrifying stories of people who realized too late that someone or something was following them. True stories that will haunt your thoughts the next time you walk alone at night. These are stories that prove fear doesn't need imagination. It can follow you home. The Stranger on the Late Night Walk. It was a crisp autumn night in 2019, in a quiet suburban town in Pennsylvania. Jenna, a 25-year-old graphic designer, had just finished a late shift at the design studio. The streets were nearly deserted, and the glow of streetlights reflected off the damp pavement. She had taken this route many times before. An alley shortcut she called her home stretch, but that night something felt different. As she walked, headphones in, music playing softly, she felt it. The faint sound of footsteps behind her. She paused, waited, but the footsteps stopped too. Shaking her head, she convinced herself it was her imagination, maybe another night owl, jogging or walking their dog. But then it started again, slow, deliberate, matching her pace. Her heart began to race. She slowed down, hoping to see the person turn a corner. Nothing. The footsteps stayed in perfect rhythm. Jenna turned sharply onto a different street, hoping to lose whoever it was. But the footsteps followed, faster now. She darted into a small convenience store, the fluorescent lights harsh and sterile. She bought a bottle of water, tried to appear calm, but she couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her every move. By the time she stepped back onto the street, the footsteps had stopped. Relief washed over her, but only briefly. A shadow flitted across the far side of the street, a figure, tall, hooded, silent, just standing there, watching. Her phone buzzed, a text from her roommate. Walked past a man outside your building. Thought it was weird, you okay? Jenna's stomach sank. That was the direction she had just come from. Panic set in. She began to run, taking sharp turns, heart pounding, desperate to reach the safety of her apartment. And then she heard it clearly, a voice barely above a whisper, coming from behind her. Hey, wait. She sprinted the final block and slammed the door of her apartment shut, locking it immediately. For hours, she lay on the couch, too terrified to call anyone, listening for the sound of footsteps outside her window. Jenna reported the incident to the local police. Security cameras from nearby stores showed a hooded figure following her from the moment she left the alley, but when authorities tried to track him, the figure had vanished without a trace. No arrests were made. To this day, Jenna refuses to walk that route alone, and every time she hears footsteps behind her, even on a crowded street, she can't shake the memory of that night. Sometimes the fear doesn't end when you reach safety. Sometimes it follows you, even into your own mind. The next morning, Jenna woke to the harsh light of reality. Her apartment was her sanctuary, yet she felt violated. Every creak of the floor, every rustle outside her window made her jump. The police had told her that while her report was serious, without more evidence, there wasn't much they could do. Determined not to be paralyzed by fear, she took extra precautions. Double-locked doors, curtains drawn, a small kitchen knife always within reach. Yet the paranoia lingered. Every time she left her apartment, that haunting feeling returned, the sense of being watched. Weeks later, a notification on her phone made her blood run cold. A friend had tagged her in a local Facebook group. The post contained a blurry image from a street camera. The figure was unmistakable, the hooded man. He had been following someone else on the same route just days after her encounter. The captions were chilling. He doesn't stop. He waits. He chooses. Jenna realized something terrifying. It wasn't a random encounter. This man had a pattern, and the thought that she could have been more than just a target, perhaps part of a ritual, a habit of terrorizing, haunted her every waking moment. Months passed. Jenna eventually moved to a different neighborhood, but the memory stayed. The footsteps, the whisper, the shadow in the distance. A reminder that sometimes, fear doesn't end when the danger disappears, it lingers. If you thought that was terrifying, imagine thinking you're safe in your car, only to realize that the danger is following you wherever you go. It was the winter of 2020 in Chicago. Marcus, a 32-year-old software engineer, often worked late hours. One night he left the office around 11:30 p.m., eager to get home. The parking garage was dimly lit, echoing with his footsteps as he made his way to his car. He noticed something odd immediately, a figure standing near the stairwell, leaning against the wall. At first he assumed it was another late worker, But as he approached, the figure didn't move. It just watched. Marcus's pulse quickened. He unlocked his car and got inside, starting the engine. He glanced in the rearview mirror. The figure was now closer, not moving with casual pace, but somehow shadowing him perfectly. He tried to shake it off. Maybe it was coincidence, maybe a prank. But as he drove out of the garage and onto the empty streets, the car behind him followed, keeping exact pace. He turned right, then left, trying to lose them. The vehicle mirrored every move. Panic took over. Marcus considered driving to the police station, but even that seemed risky. What if the person waiting outside was aware of his plan? Every instinct screamed at him, "Don't go home." Instead, he drove to a 24-hour diner. He parked under the bright lights, hoping the presence of other people would deter the follower. But through the glass, he saw them, a shadowy figure. Stepping out of the car, watching him, Marcus stayed inside the diner, sweating, trembling, trying to appear calm. Hours passed. Eventually, the figure returned to their car and drove off. Marcus never saw them again. The police were skeptical at first, but he had dashcam footage that confirmed every terrifying second. The car had followed him silently, deliberately, until he found public safety. The experience left Marcus paranoid about driving alone, checking mirrors constantly, jumping at shadows. He described the feeling as being hunted, even when you think you're in a safe zone. Some people think the danger ends when they lock their doors or stay in well-lit areas. But what if the one following you doesn't care about walls, lights, or safety? What if they are always one step behind? After that night, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was watching him constantly. Even during the day, he felt eyes on the back of his neck. He tried rationalizing it. Maybe it was paranoia after the incident, but the unease never left. One evening, a week later, Marcus had to attend a late client meeting downtown. He drove his usual route and parked in the same garage he'd been followed in. But this time he arrived early, hoping to avoid the chaos of the evening crowd. As he exited his car, the shadow appeared again. The same posture, the same deliberate stillness, the same unblinking stare. Marcus froze, heart pounding. His mind raced. Was it the same person? Or had the first encounter made him hyper-aware of every movement? He tried to convince himself it was coincidence, but instinct screamed otherwise. He walked briskly toward the elevator, avoiding eye contact. The figure followed, stopping, starting, moving exactly when he did. By the time he reached the street, Marcus's rational mind was gone. Every instinct told him he needed to get away, but the car was waiting. A black SUV, engine running, lights off, parked a few meters behind him. He ran to the nearest coffee shop and locked himself inside, hands shaking, knees weak. The barista noticed his pale face but didn't ask questions. Through the window, Marcus could see the SUV slowly drive away, lingering at the intersection, as if waiting for him to emerge. The next morning, Marcus checked his office's security footage. What he saw froze him. The figure in the parking garage wasn't just a random stranger. It appeared in multiple days of footage, always lurking near the stairwell, always watching, never interacting with anyone else. Worse, there were timestamps showing the SUV, leaving the garage and following him, almost every time he parked there. Marcus reported this to the police again, showing them the footage. They confirmed the person and vehicle had been consistently present in the garage over several months, targeting multiple individuals. But despite multiple attempts to identify the suspect, he remained invisible to the system. No registration, no ID, no traces. Marcus never parked in that garage again, and while life returned to a fragile sense of normalcy, the psychological impact never left him. Every time he entered a parking lot, every time headlights appeared in his rearview mirror, his body reacted instinctively, fear before thought. Marcus's experience is a chilling reminder that being followed doesn't just happen in alleys or dark streets. Sometimes the hunter chooses the safest places, the places where you think you're protected. But what if the danger isn't just on foot or in a parking lot? What if it's on the road, following you silently through the night, making you question whether you'll ever reach home alive? This leads us to our third story, the persistent car. Story 3, the persistent car. It was late 2021 in Los Angeles. Emily, a 28-year-old marketing executive, had just left a friend's house after a small get-together. Driving alone at 11 p.m., she took the highway home, hoping for a quiet drive. But something felt off. A dark sedan appeared behind her car shortly after she merged onto the freeway. At first, she thought it was coincidence, just another night driver. But as she changed lanes to pass a slower vehicle, the sedan did too, keeping pace effortlessly. Emily's pulse quickened. She turned off at the next exit, only to see the sedan follow her. Every turn she made, every stoplight, the car stayed behind her. And then it became clear. The headlights weren't just following, they were stalking her. She tried calling a friend, her hands shaking as she navigated the streets. Her friend picked up, but the voice of the stranger in the car behind her whispered through her mind, "They know where I am." Emily realized she was being hunted in a way that wasn't random. This person, or people, knew her route, knew her timing. The fear was no longer a feeling. It was a living entity, coiling around her, watching her, waiting for a single mistake. She drove past her usual routes, seeking well-lit areas, police stations, and even crowded streets, but the sedan followed relentlessly. It didn't try to ram her or signal her, it simply shadowed her. Silent, precise, unrelenting. By the time Emily reached a 24-hour gas station, the person in the sedan parked across the street, engine off, motionless. Every instinct told her not to leave the car. But she forced herself to enter the station, buying snacks as a cover, trying to act normal. The sedan never moved. Hours later, when she finally drove home, the car had disappeared. But the memory, the terror, stayed. Emily reported the incident, but the authorities had no leads. No license plate, no description, just a chilling certainty. Someone had followed her for miles, tracking her through the night, and could do so again at any time. Days passed after Emily's terrifying highway encounter. But the fear didn't fade, it evolved. Every time she got behind the wheel, her stomach twisted with dread. Her friends noticed her nervousness. Even short drives around her neighborhood left, her hyper-aware of every car on the street. It was a Friday night, and Emily had no choice but to drive to a work event across town. She took the main highways, hoping that a well-traveled route would reduce her fear. But her instincts were right. Halfway there, the dark sedan appeared again. This time, she wasn't sure if it was coincidence. It wasn't just following her, it seemed to anticipate her moves. Every exit she took, every lane change, every stoplight, the sedan mirrored her, silent and deliberate. Panic set in. Her hands gripped the wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. She tried calling 911, but the connection was poor. The operator asked for her location, but the sedan's headlights loomed closer each time she slowed, as if mocking her attempt to reach help. Emily realized something horrifying. She wasn't being followed by chance. Someone was tracking her. Every street, every turn, every decision, observed, monitored, controlled. By the time she reached a gas station for a short break, Emily could barely breathe. She parked near the lights, pretending to check her phone. But her eyes never left the sedan across the street. The engine was off. The car wasn't moving, but the occupant was watching, waiting. Inside, she fought a terrifying thought. What if the person followed her all the way home? What if they had memorized her schedule, her habits, her routes? The very idea that she could be tracked like prey was overwhelming. She called a friend for backup. Her friend arrived quickly and Emily got into their car, but even then the fear didn't subside. Every glance in the rearview mirror made her jump. Every shadow along the street seemed alive. Later that night, Emily reflected on the events. She realized she had been lucky. The person or people following her had never tried to confront her directly, but that thought brought no comfort. The thought that she had been under surveillance for days, maybe weeks, was horrifying. She decided to take action. She memorized the vehicle's make and model, the time it usually appeared, and started documenting everything. Over several nights, she discovered the same pattern. The dark sedan would follow her whenever she drove alone, no matter the route, always keeping a measured distance. Emily contacted the police again, this time providing dates, times, and footage from nearby traffic cameras. They promised to investigate, but the fear of being followed didn't vanish. Every drive became a test of vigilance and nerves. She began to notice subtle signs she hadn't before. The same car parked at random intersections near her home, the faint reflection of headlights in her bedroom window at night, and occasional glimpses in her peripheral vision while walking outside. Emily realized something terrifying. Sometimes the hunter doesn't just follow you, they linger in your life. You see them in reflections and shadows in places you thought were safe, and when you least expect it, they may be closer than you think. It was a rainy Thursday night when Emily's fear reached its peak. She had just finished a late work meeting and was driving, home on a mostly empty city street. The roads glistened with rain, reflecting streetlights and headlights in long streaks. As she rounded a corner, the dark sedan appeared again. It didn't accelerate or honk, just followed. Silently, perfectly aligned with her every turn, her hands trembled on the steering wheel. Her mind raced. Is tonight the night they make their move? Emily's heart pounded as she considered her options. Drive faster and risk an accident? Pull over and confront them, call the police and hope they arrive in time? Every choice seemed dangerous. The tension escalates. Suddenly, the sedan swerved behind her, then stayed one car length back, brake lights flickering. Emily realized it was intentionally keeping pace to terrorize her. She pressed the gas pedal, weaving through streets she knew well, trying to find a busy area, a cafe or a police station. But no matter where she went, the car followed. It was like a shadow with a heartbeat, stalking her, learning her moves, predicting her every decision. At a red light, she glanced into the rearview mirror. The figure in the driver's seat was impossible to see clearly, but something about their stillness, their intent sent a shiver down her spine. Emily's fear reached a breaking point. She decided to take an unexpected risk. Instead of heading home, she drove to a 24-hour police precinct she knew was nearby. Her palms were sweaty, eyes darting between the mirror and the street ahead. The sedan followed her all the way. Pulling into the precinct lot, she parked quickly and ran inside, gasping, heart racing. The officers noticed her panic immediately. She explained everything. The following, the patterns, the surveillance, the terror. When she looked outside later, the sedan was gone. The officers checked traffic cameras and nearby streets. They found the car circling blocks near her apartment. But when they tried to intercept, it vanished without a trace. The officers warned her to remain vigilant and offered tips on personal safety. They also promised to review footage and patrol the area more frequently. But Emily knew the fear wouldn't disappear entirely. Aftermath, psychological impact. In the weeks following the incident, Emily avoided driving alone whenever possible. Every time headlights appeared behind her, even in broad daylight, her stomach churned with panic. She installed extra security cameras at home and altered her routines to feel safer. The sedan never followed her again, at least not that she could confirm. But Emily admits that the psychological toll has stayed with her. She knows deep down that the person or people who followed her could strike again at any time. Being followed doesn't just put your life at risk. It changes the way you see the world. Every shadow becomes a potential threat, every stranger a possible predator, and sometimes the fear never goes away. Emily's story is a stark reminder being followed is more than a moment of terror. It's a violation of space, trust, and your sense of safety. From quiet alleys to crowded highways, the danger can take many forms, and you never truly know who or what might be behind you. We've journeyed through 3 terrifying true accounts of people being followed, each one unique, yet all sharing a single, chilling truth. Sometimes the danger isn't random. It watches, waits, and chooses its prey carefully. From Jenna in Pennsylvania, walking home late at night, to Marcus in Chicago, stalked in a parking garage, to Emily in Los Angeles, pursued relentlessly in her car, the pattern is clear. Being followed is more than a physical threat. It's a psychological invasion. Every step you take, every turn you make, every glance over your shoulder becomes a test of your courage and your instincts. Jenna's story reminds us that even familiar places can harbor danger. That quiet alley she had walked 100 times suddenly became a stage for terror. Her experience shows that danger often comes in subtle ways: a shadow, a set of footsteps, a whisper behind you. It's easy to dismiss these as imagination, but sometimes they are far too real. Marcus's encounter in the parking garage takes the fear to a place most people consider safe. A brightly lit, structured environment did nothing to stop the predator. The stalker's patience and precision highlight a terrifying reality. Some people follow methodical, calculated patterns. They study their target, choose when and how to appear, and vanish just as suddenly, leaving no trace except a lasting fear. Emily's ordeal on the freeway demonstrates how relentless and invasive being followed can become. When someone tracks you over miles, anticipating every move, it's not just fear, it's a test of survival instincts. Emily's story also emphasizes the psychological aftermath of such experiences: heightened anxiety, sleepless nights, and the constant feeling of being watched even when the threat is gone. The universal truth about being followed. All 3 stories share a terrifying truth. The fear doesn't always end when the stalker disappears. Once someone has invaded your personal space in this way, the sense of vulnerability stays with you. Every shadow, every passing vehicle, every stranger on the street can trigger that memory, the creeping awareness that you might not be as safe as you think. Being followed is an intimate kind of terror. It teaches you how quickly normal routines can turn into threats. And it's a reminder that vigilance, awareness, and caution are sometimes the only protection we have in an unpredictable world. While these stories are horrifying, they also carry important lessons. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore that gut feeling. Take action early. Seek safe public spaces. Alert friends, family, or authorities. Document evidence. Photos, dashcam footage, or security recordings can be critical. Vary your routine. Stalkers often exploit predictability. Changing your habits can reduce risk. Seek support. Experiencing this kind of fear can be traumatizing. Talk to professionals or support networks. Even simple steps can help you regain a sense of control in situations where someone is following or stalking you. Being followed is one of the most primal fears we can face. It reminds us that danger can appear anywhere, even in the places we think are safe. And sometimes, the terror doesn't end when we reach our door. It lingers in our minds, in our memories, and in the shadows behind us. Thank you for joining us on Hidden Truth Diaries. If these stories unsettled you, remember, they are real, and they happen more often than we think. Stay aware, stay cautious, and trust your instincts. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. We share real stories of fear, suspense, and the unexplained, stories that will keep you up at night, questioning what lurks just out of sight. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your senses sharper. You never know who or what might be following you.